Hey everyone, this is the Real Hadeel show, and today I have Arielle. She's the founder and chief navigator of Calibri Life, and she's going to be talking to us today about her company and how she got started. So Arielle, please tell us a little bit more about why you started this company.
Hi, Hadeel. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you. We're excited to have you.
So I started Calibri Life because divorce is a really hard process, and women are making some of the most meaningful decisions of their life
Mm-hmm.
while the ground is like constantly shifting underneath their feet. And there's
Right.
not really a single resource that they can go to when they're in the process, or honestly after you get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a lot of friends and folks that were just kind of finding me and asking me for help. And I really felt like we could put something together that made a difference in women's lives and their families' lives, and that could help them just kind of go through it and help them navigate the chaos in a little bit of a saner way.
Right. I love it. I love it. Hey, you're right. When women get divorced, it's the hardest thing. It really is.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And, you have to navigate kids and family and trying to figure out money and friendships and the house. And, it's all those things that you're juggling. And, it's like, what do I do?
It's the truth because women are natural nurturers. Not all women are like this, but they are. Right?
Right.
When you have kids, naturally you have to be like that.
Absolutely.
And you give up a lot to be with your kids. And unfortunately, some women, when they go into a marriage, they lose their careers. They lose their ways because they focus so much about how much can I give for my family versus how much can I grow for myself, right?
Right. And when you get divorced, you not only give up your career, but oftentimes you give up a lot of yourself, right? Your definition of self becomes wife, becomes mom. And so when you get divorced, you're not wife anymore. You're only mom part of the time, depending on what your custody looks like. And so you have to figure out who me is again, right? And kind of redefine that. And that can be a real challenge too.
It's an extreme challenge. It's not the easiest thing to go through. Sorry, you don't want to ever go through that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an eye opener. Most of the women that I've met who've been divorced, they're the strongest people I've ever met. They tell me their story. They tell me what they had to go through, and then after that, they explain like how much better life has been. Even though it's the worst, it's the shittiest thing to go through. Excuse my French, but it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You not only you're going through a breakup, but you're having to deal with kids in the middle of it. It's like, and then you have to deal with your career and the money. It's like worse than a breakup.
Yeah, and we like to talk about it as kind of going through the fire, walking through the fire, and coming out stronger on the other side. And it's so amazing to see, because you find these women that all of a sudden they start to find their footing after they've gone through the divorce. And the first thing they do is they immediately turn around and reach back to see how they can help somebody else, whether it's through divorce or in another way. And, like you said, it's just that strength that comes through from it, and kind of refinding your roots and who you are and your passions.
Right.
It really comes out in the women that we work with. And it's so amazing to see, because then they go off and, what I really want to do is empower women to go through these transitions and then go on and change the world, because that's where they come from. That's kind of where they head when they leave.
I love that. So where in your background have that happened to you that obviously share as much as you want and most comfortable, but what got you to get this far and start this company?
So I was divorced 8 years ago. I have an 11-year-old daughter now, so she was 3. We moved from Colorado to Maryland. So I came out here with my 3-year-old daughter. I was in a big job, and I was alone. I was lucky enough that after about a month, my dad came and lived with me. We called him our Danny. He was my dad nanny.
I love it.
So I was lucky enough to have my dad there just to help with some of the things. But I had no one. I had nothing. And it was a really hard time. I remember nights where I would put my daughter to bed and I would just collapse on the couch in just a heap. And, in the mornings, the only thing that would get me up in the morning and out of bed was my daughter, because I had to kind of keep moving forward for her. And, got through that and kind of started to find my footing, and things were going well. And then, I got shoved back again. And my ex and I wound up having a huge custody battle that was 3 years long. And, again, I had my attorney that I was leaning on for advice and guidance at multiple hundreds of dollars an hour.
Right.
And I didn't really have anybody else. And it's hard to expose yourself to folks and to open up, to find those trusted resources that have been through it before.
Right.
So, got through that and things were going well. And then, we had a child support battle, which just recently ended. And, it never ends. And,
right.
And I really felt, I've worked in the health and wellness space prior, in kind of I call it my corporate life.
Right.
And I really felt like we could do it better, that I could use a lot of the things that I had learned from the corporate world to build a community and a network and the resources and support for women, so that they didn't have to go through what I went through and what pretty much every other woman I talk to goes through, right? That they have a place to turn, that they can find a friend to talk to that's been through it, or find the resources and information that they need without spending hours on Google, or sorry, the lights just went out.
It happens.
Or try and figure out who the best attorney is, or how they can get back into their job, or anything like that. And, so it came from a very personal place. And then it came from a place of looking around and seeing all these other women that were going through the exact same thing that I was, that I never knew of, I never knew about.
I love that. You built community around you.
Yes.
Although this was to help other people, this also naturally helped you too, though. And
absolutely.
It just shows you, by the way, if you shake your hands like this, I think the lights will come back on. And this is not to make you look crazy. No, it did not come back on?
It did not.
Okay, well, I just made you look crazy.
Right. I like dancing.
Sometimes it works, I don't know.
Yeah.
You have those lights. Anyway. But
technical difficulties.
Minor issue here. But no, I love it, because it's one of the biggest problems women have is after they get divorced, like we mentioned, it's simply having a community around them. It's simply having friends, people who get them, who are not just, women who just are focused on their career and they don't really have a family. These are actual women that have everything and they've been through it. They get it,
Yeah. And that's the thing that people say all the time. They're like, it's so nice to come to the Calibri events, because I can talk about something, and instead of people looking at me like, oh no, I got to listen to this again.
Right.
People that are like, oh yeah, I understand. I've been through that.
Right.
And they can really empathize and, and help support the people through the process.
I love it. It's you don't see that common in the men's world. You don't. Unfortunately, I wish they did have it. I wish they had support groups and things like that. I think it would have, because you see people get bitter after divorce, and you see that as a thing that really affects their life. And I love that you have this for women, because it only gives them a reason to move forward.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And they really move forward from a place of grounding and community and strength, which is just really amazing to see.
I love that. Well, tell me a little bit more. So I know you guys provide, so walk me through the process of when a divorced woman comes to you guys. How does that look like?
So we have a lot of resources online, so they can start online, and we have articles and tools and tips on there. We have events that people can come to. So our first event for anybody is free, and we have 3 different events every month. So we have just we call it the Calibri brunch, where we get together, and it's just women kind of hanging out and having brunch at new local places around the area that we find. Sometimes we'll throw a hike in beforehand, so we work off our brunch before we go eat it.
Right. I like it.
Yeah, so that's just kind of fun and social. Then we have what we call our modern book club, which we love. It's so instead of reading a book, we listen to a podcast.
Okay, cool.
And we talk about the podcast, which is great. So you get exposed to a lot of different podcasts, and and kind of just get to learn different things and have good conversation around that. And then we have what we call our specialist events. So we have professionals that we network with in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area that provide discounts for all of our members for their services. And we'll pull these specialists in to do free events for the women. And it's everything. So we, last week we did a negotiation event. We had a career explore event where we had a lot of different types of folks in to talk about different career opportunities and paths that women can take. We're going to have a financial person in to talk about kind of creating a budget on a smaller income. Yeah, so just things that are really worthwhile and valuable for the women. So those are the three things we do every month. And then, like I said, we have the articles and the events online. If people want to engage further, we have 2 membership levels.
Okay.
So we have one, which is our community membership, which is $8 a month. And it essentially gets you access to all of our events, to our full library of articles. We also have a closed Facebook group that folks can post on and ask questions and things like that. I know there's a lot of Facebook groups out there. How ours is different is if people are looking for advice, our specialists will sometimes hop on and provide guidance. So what I've seen in some of the other Facebook groups is people kind of go off the rails in terms of their advice and guidance because it's just coming from other folks who might not be professionals. So we have professionals that can help provide some of that guidance.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great. And so that's our community membership. And then we have our annual membership, which is $199 a year, which gets you all the community stuff, but then also access to what we call our network of specialists, which are the professionals that we have. Right now, we have about 45 professionals in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area across legal, financial, health and wellness, social, career, and home and housing. And they're all vetted folks that come highly recommended that provide discounts anywhere from, I think, about $50 to over $1,000 for their services.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it helps provide a little bit of A, easier finding folks, and B, a little bit of a less expensive resource for people.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's definitely affordable, and it seems like you're providing a lot for these women.
Yes. Yeah, we're really trying to provide, like I said, that one-stop shop to just help them with any aspect of their lives. And the other thing is we're really open. So if people need a specialist, or if they need a resource, or like, hey, I really want to learn about this, they can ask us, and we'll do our best to try and help them out.
That's awesome. Arielle, I mean, like what you're doing, you're not only starting a community, you're starting an army of powerful women.
Yes, that is my hope.
I'm so for it. So good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny because I went into this whole thing and I was like, I want to change the world, and this is a great way to help change people's lives. And then I started seeing that people would take that newfound strength and would go do things that they've always wanted to do, and really drive change. And that was exactly it, right? I really felt like I'm creating this community of women that is going to just go out there and change the world. And I'm so excited about it. I
love it. And the woman you're bringing out, just hearing the way you talk, these women you're bringing on, they just want other people to join them on this journey. And it's not like because I hate when I see this when women are like, oh, forget the men, forget this. I'm like, no, we need men. Men need women, and women need men. It's just the truth.
Absolutely.
I like that you're bringing a powerful woman to say, hey, we're independent, we're strong, but we're working together with the community. We're going out there so we can be equal to others, not better than others, but more equal. And I like that.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point because, we call ourselves, or I call myself the navigator, right? And we're not here to walk through this journey for you in any way, shape, or form, but we are here to help you navigate through it. And you have this community behind you that is here to help you navigate through it. And you're going to go through it on your own 2 feet, and you're going to walk through it and be like, I did that. You know,
Right.
you're going to have that strength and that power from saying, I did that.
And that's a very important thing you brought up. You know, a lot of people are like, you need us and you need to stay with us. You know, there's a level and time of and period in your life where you need to be helped and navigated to the right place.
Yes.
But you don't always need that. And the
Right.
only way to come back to it is really just to pay it forward in the
Yeah.
end. You know?
And that's I was just going to say that. That's exactly what we see happens is, you know, people will go through it with us and then we might lose them for a little bit and then they come back.
Right.
They're coming back to help some of the other women.
And I love that. That's powerful.
Which helps them in their own, in a different way.
It reminds them and makes them grateful for what was given. Now let me give it in return as well.
Yes, absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you. So, you know, going through this and meeting a ton of women, who would you say, and you don't need to list any names, but who would maybe come in your mind first, come to mind first, that maybe taught you a very valuable lesson that you kind of forgot along the way, or kind of struck you and was like, huh, thank you. You know, you remind me of something and you taught me something.
Yeah. So, so we have a woman who recently joined us who went through a challenging divorce, has a child with a disability that she's managing. And you know, it's just going through a lot of life things. So she's post-divorce, but still struggling with a lot of the things that we all do from a, you know, financial perspective and a custody perspective and all of those things. And she we met her first at one of our brunches, and she came back a couple weeks later to our modern book club, and we were talking about manifesting things. And she talked about this experience that she had where she had gone, she loves to dance, and she had signed up for, to go dance at this like 3-hour dance-a-thon. She's like, I didn't think I could do it because, you know, I'm not in shape enough to go do it. She's like, but you know what? I did it. I went and I did it. She goes, and I got there and there were all these like 80 and 90-year-olds and people in wheelchairs. She's like, I danced for 3 hours and it was fantastic and I loved it. And then she's like, and I was downtown and I was supposed to meet a friend of mine, but I wanted to stay downtown for dinner just because I was kind of feeding off of that energy. She goes, I would never have done this before, but I called my friend and I canceled on her. And she goes, and she cancels on me all the time. She goes, I never do that. She's like, I canceled on her and I stayed downtown and I went and I had dinner by myself at a restaurant.
Wow.
Like I would never do that. She goes, and then I was sitting and I wound up sitting across from this beautiful woman who was eating by herself as well. And she just looked up at me and I smiled and she smiled and she had this great smile. And she goes, and I invited her to dinner to see if she wanted to come and sit and have dinner with me.
Oh, wow.
And the woman came and joined. She's like, and we had this fantastic conversation. And I found a new friend. Like I found a new member of my community. And it just, you know, her going through this just reminded me of all those little moments in your life of being brave, you know, of when you feel the feeling in your gut of, oh, I shouldn't do this, you know, but it's not because you really shouldn't do it. It's because you're nervous or you're scared.
Right. You're fearful.
And how she pushed through those little moments to be brave, you know, to go to the dance, to stay at the dance, to stay downtown and have dinner by herself, to say hi to this woman, and just the amazing things that it can bring to your life. You know, it just, she sat and told this story and I was almost crying because I was like, oh my gosh, this is, and she came back and she said, you know what? It was because of that first event that I came to with you guys that I was brave and I came to that and it turned out to be something that was fantastic. That I wanted the opportunity to be brave again and see if that fantastic would happen again. And it did. And so she's just building on that and building on that. And it's just, it's amazing to start to see some of these transformations.
I love that. That's a great story. It's a good reminder of like, no matter how rough whatever you're going through the situation, it's always important to stay positive. It's always important to challenge yourself, even when you're being already challenged in this process, right?
Yes.
Instead of just taking it and like, like this is happening to me. It's more so now it's like, okay, what can I do that's going to help me move the needle forward, you know?
Yeah. And it's finding those little moments and those little things that you can control.
Yes.
And making that brave decision in those moments.
And rewarding yourself along the way.
And rewarding yourself along the way. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. That's a powerful story. Thank you for sharing.
It was it was a fantastic one, and every time I think about it, I get goosebumps.
I love it. And it's definitely a good reminder.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about the process that you went through and you've experienced. What are the biggest lessons you've learned from your personal experience? And
so
I would say like maybe 3. Usually I like to ask everyone this 3
absolutely.
main lessons.
Absolutely. So one of the things which is very specific to women going through divorce is there's a lot of discussion of in the best interest of the child.
Yeah.
A lot of conversation about the best interest of the child. And I kept going back to that because I kept going back to, I need to figure out what's in the best interest of my child. And I think one of the things that I learned is it is important as anything to fight for the best interest of your child. You also need to kind of figure out where that line is of where your child is going to be okay. Because sometimes in fighting so hard and so much for the best interest, it doesn't become the best interest.
Right.
And so that's something that I think can be a challenge. And just really important to always remember. I think the second thing is for everybody is just to keep yourself, right? Don't lose yourself. Whether you're married, whether you're alone, whether you're dating, whatever it is, hold on to the me in your life in whatever relationship you're in. And keep that really strong because it's important to have throughout your life. And if something changes in that relationship, all you've got to lean back on is that me. Right. So it's really important to do that. And then I think the third thing kind of goes back to the story that I was telling you before about this woman. And it's just find those moments to be brave. Wherever you are in your life, practice being brave, because putting yourself out there it's scary. And I completely get that it's scary. And I fight this every day. But it's so amazing, and the more you put yourself out there and the more you find those little moments to be brave, the more that you can be brave in those big moments when you really, really need to. I
love that. Those are really powerful. Thank you. Those are really powerful things to know. Absolutely. It's you're right, especially the me part. You're like, just never lose you in the process. I think it's so. It was Will. I love this family, Will Smith's family. So his wife, Jada Smith, I think her name, Jade Smith or something.
Yeah, Jada Smith. I think. I think it's Smith.
I'm horrible with names, but she said she has these like red table talks, she calls them, and I was listening to one of them, just happened to be on YouTube looking for something, and I found her and I just clicked on it, and she talks about this. She's like, if I don't, and her daughter was in the discussion conversation, and I was like, wow, this is a very mature conversation to have in front of your kid, which is powerful. I loved it. And she was just like, if I don't take care of me, all of you are going to be unhappy. She's like, because I'm the one who's really keeping everything together. You got your dad, Will Smith, right? He's doing all his things and everything. But when the mom's unhappy, everyone becomes unhappy naturally. And it's true. The mom is like the nest. It's hard. When your mom is the one. She doesn't need to have this role, right? Men can have this role too, right? But right, if we're saying mostly of the time, it is woman. And she was just talking about like, either or in any relationship, the woman or the man need to take care of themselves first, because in order to provide, you need to be at your best self. And if you're not at your best self, that's when everything goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think you said it at the very beginning, right? Is women tend to be nurturers. We tend to take care of everybody else. And in doing that, we don't take care of ourselves.
Right.
I used to work in the health and wellness space, and I used to talk to people all the time. I'd be like, what? You would never let your child miss a doctor appointment. You would never let your child miss their annual wellness appointment, right? That happens the day it happens. It always happens.
Right.
And how many doctors, but speaking for myself, because I do this too, but when was the last time you got a physical? Right? We
Yeah.
don't put ourselves first. We don't
Yeah.
do that. And it's so important to do. And we, I think as women, have to fight against it a little bit more, because we do have that nurture. And there's so much going on in the world today that,
Right.
I mean, there's enough to be taken care of that you can never pay attention to yourself.
Right. It's just
So
100% true.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I want to say thank you, for sharing these advice. That's
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last thing I wanted to ask you though is, where can we find you, right?
Yep.
And also, maybe a next event that you guys have it coming up, so somebody in the local area can come visit.
Yeah, absolutely. So they can find me we're on Facebook. So facebook.com/Your Calibri Life.
Okay.
And Calibri is COLIBRI. Just so people remember, Calibri is the Spanish word for hummingbird, and hummingbird is the symbol of abundance. So
I love that.
The abundance of life and joy and happiness, which is what we want to drive in everybody that we interact with. They can also find us on our webpage, so www.calibrilife.com. People can contact me directly at a band, like a rock and roll band, at Calibri Life. Those are probably the best places to get us.
Perfect.
Events, we have, I don't know when this is going to go up, but we have one coming this Monday. We have a modern book club this Monday.
Maybe not that soon. Maybe not that soon.
We have a brunch on September 9th.
Okay, no, that's doable.
So we're going to have a hike. That's going to be one of our hikes, and then we're doing brunch at Barking Mad Cafe up in Gaithersburg.
Perfect.
And then we will have our September, October, November events posted in the coming weeks. So hopefully by the time this is posted, we'll have the rest of our events posted, and they can just find that on our website.
Oh, okay, perfect. And I'll add infos and stuff, everything for them to see. So
fantastic.
No stress there. Well, you know what, Arielle, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
It was a pleasure, and I love your insights and thoughts, and it's fantastic. So thank you.
I love what you do, and I'm very grateful for it to have met you and to have you on the show. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.